Happy Sunday, guys. Hope everyone's doing extremely well today. Yeah, happy International Women's Day. Today's International Women's Day. Um, Even though for a long time I never really figured out what International Women's Day stood for. So I just thought today I'm going to have a look at it. And it really didn't tell me anything different from what we already know in terms of it being a day where we celebrate all the women out there for their great achievement, present and past, and hopefully in the future. Days where the world comes together to bring once again, shed light once again on the plight of women, marginalization, inequality, child mutiny, and it goes on and on and on and on. And I thought to myself, well, not too bad. However, in looking up the meaning of an International Women's Day, I realized there were many other days as well that women are celebrated during the course of a year, and it started to get the more I looked, the more ridiculous the days began to become. In terms of days being like, and in no particular order, and just if my memory serves me right, I didn't specifically pick these specific ones out, like International Christian Women's Day, International Muslim Women's Day, International Day Off, OFF, International Day Off Work for the woman. Like some women, they have a day off all year through. Their house is the mall. And no disrespect, I'm just saying. International Day of the Girl Child. Like International Day of the Girl Child, what does that mean? Are boiled children not children? We love both of them equally. I know back in the Hebrew culture, in the scriptural days, if a family had girls, and then had one boy, subsequently, that boy child, that male child is called the first child. I read about that. I'm not sure how it is in this day and age, but I know, scriptural days, that's why, the Hebrews would say, oh, the first child or the first son or so, because they really never sort of counted or paid so much significant, well, I don't know, but, if you had girls, and then you had one boy, that boy would always be called the first child. That's all I know. I don't know how it is now, I said. But then I thought to myself, if we really look at it, if women want to be celebrating all these days, if they're calling attention to all these days, for them to be celebrated in all these days, that must mean that men should have equal days, or perhaps more days than women, where they're celebrated, throughout the year. And when I last looked, or when last I checked, we don't really have any days that we're celebrated. We have Father's Day, but even Father's Day, there's never a specific day. 1 month is in February, 1 month is in March, 1 month is in April. I don't know. It's just all over the place. It's never specific. So if you're not sort of concerned with that whole idea of celebrating, you won't really know what day the world has set aside to celebrate you as a man creature on planet Earth. And I just thought, women just like to overdo it, and for them calling for all this celebration that they're asking for, all these other days in the year where they demand for celebration. Even we as men, talking about marginalization, we're the ones who've been marginalized the most, because we've been marginalized from the fall of man, which really should have been titled the fall of women, because the sin that a woman committed then is what we're suffering from as men now. Yes, I said it. The sin that, because we're not the one who had the conversation with the serpent, we're not the one who had the conversation with the serpent. We're not the one who lied to the... Okay, so let me tell you the story. Genesis 2, God makes man. As he makes man, he puts him in the garden. He says, look, your work is to tilt the ground, name all the animals that come into you, and then for that you could eat from all the fruits in all the plants in the garden except one tree in the middle of the garden. Those were clearly the instruction. Man was doing all of that. But God in his mercy thought, even this that you're doing is too much work. Even though you have all this food to be eating for free, it's still too much work to be naming all these things. I'm going to give you a helper, you know. And by nature of him saying he's going to give us a helper, he put us into a deep sleep. Now, when when someone is in a deep sleep, let's someone's in coma, they're literally in vegetative state. Me and you know they can't operate, they can't function, they can't do anything. So by virtue of a woman even coming into our life, we're already in vegetative state. That means when someone's in vegetative state, they could stick needle in him, they could take advantage of him, they could swoop him, they could do whatever he wants. And you have to understand, Adam is not one man. Adam means in Hebrew humanity. So God created humanity, men. So Adam, the man, this is before you women came, even though now we understand that you bring forth us, because without my mother I won't be, and without, you know, the wives, the mothers, and the ladies who give birth every second of the day, you know, men won't be, children won't be, let alone grown into men. But Adam, when God created him as the first man, was named Adam, and that translates to humanity. So anything that happens to Adam, whole of humanity who were created in Adam, would actually be, do you understand? Would be, what's the word? Would be paying for it. So he puts man into full vegetative state, which is what we could understand these days, if I put it in that word, vegetative state. And then he brings forth a woman, a fully grown woman who's capable and knowledgeable, who knows what to do. Because after that, God did say that for this reason, a man and woman should leave. A man would leave his father and mother and be married off to his wife. So that means married off to his wife. You know, that means she's grown up. So it's not a kid, because kids don't get married. So married off to his wife. Anyway, story going further. The serpent, right? By nature of him being called a serpent in the scripture, means Adam named him, means he was in the Garden of Eden with Adam. Because the Bible or the scriptures doesn't say, you know, God named him the serpent. Like they say God created the sun and the moon and gave them names, you know, or greater light and smaller light, and, you know, plants and animals, God gave them names. When the serpent came in Genesis 3, it was named already as a creature, a crafty creature. So Adam named, that means it must have come to Adam. When it came to Adam in the Garden of Eden. And the tree was there. He didn't ask Adam the question. But when he saw that the woman, the full-grown married woman, wandered off to, I don't know, maybe the mall. Maybe she went to the mall in the Eden, in the Garden of Eden, to go and shop some more plants. Do you understand? And then she bumped into the crafty creature, serpent. And all that serpent did was ask a question. Did God really say you must not eat from any tree in this garden? That's the question. It's a yes or no. Then what did she say? God really said we could eat from any tree of the garden. God really said, but the tree in the middle of the garden, we must not eat from or touch. That or touch was a spin. She put a spin on it, like some women always do. Just put a spin on the conversation. Her own spin, because unless Adam sort of gave the instruction to Eve incorrectly, which the Bible doesn't state, whether he did or he didn't, because Eve wasn't there when God gave Adam the instruction initially, in fairness to her. So unless Adam translated the instruction to her incorrectly, she definitely put a spin on it. Okay, that being said, God comes in the cool of the day, asks for where Adam and Eve is. They say they're hiding in the garden, hiding somewhere behind a tree because they realize they're naked. God asked them a question. Who told you you were naked? Have you eaten from the tree I told you not to eat from? Adam answers, the woman you gave me. The woman you gave me. Yeah? Gave me some of the fruit. What does that make Adam? A handler of stolen goods. Yeah, a handler. He's not the perpetrator of the crime. He is just a handler of the forbidden fruit. Even though, yes, he consumed some of it, but he's a handler. Now, the main perpetrator stayed silent. And when she faced the judge looked at her with mercy. Like, okay, true pain you will bring birth true pain you will deliver every child. And I'm not undermining the pain of childbirth. We know it's one of the most beautiful things that could happen to every woman, and is obviously one of the most painful things in terms of them birthing forth a child. And then also, the second punishment that God gave her was the fact that, okay, your husband will be your ruler, which really is neither here nor there, because many women, as we speak now, still rule their husband. But God now looks at Adam, the one who's the co-defendant, the man, yeah? And he gives him 5 punishments. Number 1, because you even listen to this woman. What should we do? Because you listen to this woman, now the ground is cursed for your sake. Out of the sweat of your brows. Number 3, out of the sweat of your brows, you shall bring fruit from it. From dust you came, from dust you shall return. That's when he remembered we're now created from dust. We that were created in his own image, he now separates us from him. That's what the separation is. Now he's saying, oh, you're not even in my own. You're created from dust. You came from dust. You shall return, and you'll be struggling to bring fruit from this dust all the days of your life. Kilode is only we eat the apple. We're not the one who went off. Number 1, from where Adam and Eve were meant to be, and went to shopping, in the Garden of Eden. That we bumped into Mr. Serpent, and Mr. Serpent now decide to, 1, hold conversation with Mr. Serpent, 2, lie to Mr. Serpent, 3, put a spin or disclose the secret of God to Mr. Serpent, 4, eat the apple that God said we shouldn't eat. Then number 5, bring it home from shopping and hand it over to Adam. We're not the one. We just loved our wife like we should normally do. And then we get all the judgments that's led us up onto where we are today. And then you say we're not marginalized. Like, that's not bad enough. That whole scenario, the scriptures now title that whole court case, it pulls that whole court case on top of the man. The scriptures now call it the fall of man. Like, the fall of man wasn't involved. Man was just a Cody. Like, the woman is she's the accused. She's the they should have called it the fall of woman. Why they call it the fall of man? Like, what did we do? And then you say we're not marginalized. And then all that punishment is what we children of Adam, we're still reliving today, up until tomorrow, until God decides to reverse the course or continue to sustain us in his grace, which he should surely do. But, I'm just saying, I'm not trying to cook up no storm. We love our women. We love our mothers. I love my wife. Everybody else should love their wife. And if you have concubines, love them equally. It's up to you. Love our daughters. We love our sisters. And we love our women friends. And we just want to celebrate you, want to thank you for always standing by us and making us to become the men we are today. Because without you, there won't be no us. That's standard. We wouldn't have been born. So think about it. But I think we should all come together and at least celebrate us men too. Celebrate us. Let us feel appreciated, loved, and always reinvigorated to continue to pay for the sin that you've cost us. We celebrate you. Have a happy Sunday and a happy International Women's Day. Stay good, stay blessed, and God bless. See ya.